Hello and welcome to Devil's Advocate. How does the government view Anna Hazare and Team Anna? That's the core subject I shall discuss today with Law Minister Salman Khurshid. Mr. Khurshid, let's start with Anna Hazare's fast. Do you believe the fact that it was called off before any of Anna Hazare or Team Anna's multiple demands had been met is a victory for the government?
Well, I think it's a welcome development. I don't put it into victory and defeats. This is democracy, and you know that in democracy you have a range of ways of expressing yourself. They opted for that expression. We didn't agree with it, and we are happy that it's come to an end.
Let me put it like this. Do you believe your strategy of neither talking to nor talking about Team Anna and Anna Hazare paid off?
The very fact that you're asking me this question suggests that you agree with our strategy, or you approve of it, even if you don't agree, and that's a good thing.
And your answers suggest that you actually are trying to say yes, but not be boastful.
Now, I don't think this requires a boast. I don't think that everything they said is to be rejected or repudiated, and I can't accept that everything that they wanted is for the good of the country.
If the fast had continued, leading to one or more persons falling dangerously ill, did the government have plans to forcibly take them to hospital?
I have no idea, but you know, there are standard operating procedures, and we said this to the press, that the standard operating procedures have to be taken by people who are in the hot seat at that time. There may be some references made to political authority at appropriate stage or appropriate time, but we didn't discuss this in great detail, and I'm sure that people who had to do it would have done what they did.
The impression people have is that this time around the government had made up its mind to let the fast continue to whatever conclusion it came to, and it would not intervene.
Well, I don't think we should go by what impressions people have. We did our duty in the past, and we did our duty now. If you think our duty worked well this time, well, it's good for us and good for everybody.
Well, it's absolutely true, to use your phrase, that your duty worked well this time. There's no doubt that you successfully handled Team Anna on this occasion, and you've been praised for it. But would you equally accept that on earlier occasions the government mishandled Team Anna?
No, I don't accept that, because in retrospect and hindsight, you can say something about anything that you've done. The decision has to be taken then and there, and I think that margins of error have to be built into any decision.
But wisdom also does require that in hindsight you acknowledge that a decision taken then and there may actually have been the wrong one. Let me give you an example. To begin with, there were the prolonged negotiations between April and July 2011, where special importance was given to Team Anna, which offended other civil society groups in the opposition, and the result was that Team Anna shot into the limelight and ended up accusing the government of betrayal. Now, with the wisdom of hindsight, would you accept that perhaps you were mistaken in giving Team Anna that importance?
I don't think it's important for me to be talking about this, but I'm sure that people who take these decisions from day to day, from time to time, build in this analysis about the past into what they would do in the future. And I think it's important that these things are analyzed by those who are hands-on involved, rather than by people who have no direct involvement.
It's very interesting. Your answer suggests that people build in the experience of the past when they decide what they're going to do now. That does suggest that there was a certain recognition that maybe the importance given to Team Anna earlier was mistaken.
Well, you can talk about that, but you know, I don't want to sound condescending, and I don't want to sound mean and narrow-minded, that yeah, we shouldn't have given them importance, we should have given somebody else importance. But let me tell you that even at that time, the intention was to get on board all the major civil society groups that had worked very hard on the concept of Lokpal, and we did take them on board as far as their documents were concerned, but we couldn't have as extensive a consultation across the country as we wanted.
Well, the truth is that in fact you made Team Anna look special. You had direct negotiations with them which went on for a period of 2.5 months, and other groups not only felt left out, but Team Anna shot into the limelight and became adversaries for you. And I'm not asking you to be condescending, I'm simply asking you to look back now with the wisdom of hindsight and accept that perhaps it was mistaken. Your intentions were right, but it was mistaken to give Team Anna that importance.
As long as our intentions were right, we're now looking forward, we now want to look back. I'm sure, as I said, those who are hands-on, involved, would certainly take into account everything that's happened, including all the way up to yesterday.
There was even one instance when perhaps your intentions may not have been right. I'm talking about August 2011, the morning Anna Hazare was going to start his second fast. Your government arrested him and jailed him and made him a martyr and hero. And in the end, this perhaps was the single reason why tens of thousands turned up at his Ram Leela agitations. Now, once again, with the wisdom of hindsight, should that not have been better handled?
I have no idea. As I said, when you're in the hot seat and you take a decision, it's all very well for somebody who's not there to be saying something else. But I think that my colleagues who were directly involved would have had a very, very tough call at that time. And how that call finally turns out is something that we have to live with.
But you can't accept that the call that was taken in August to arrest and jail Anna Hazare turned out to be the wrong call?
I don't think it's necessary for me to take another call on that. As I said, whatever we did must have been factored into whatever we do now and we do in future.
Let me put it like this. There's no doubt that the government handled Team Anna this time round very adroitly, and you've got praise for it. But people will be surprised that someone like Salman Khurshid, who's normally a very open minister, is unable to bring himself, even with delicate words, to accept that, yes, with hindsight, we could have handled Team Anna better last year. It's a simple admission to make, because now you're making it having succeeded.
Well, as I said, this is not success and victory. This is only another milestone in a long journey.
But the government looks better this time round than it did earlier. And now that you look better, can't you accept that earlier perhaps you should have handled things differently?
The moment you say we look better, it means that you've already decided that it's better than before. And if it's better than before, thank you very much.
But would you accept also that you could have done things differently, and even the earlier occasion could have been better? Can you not at least accept?
If you had a Lokpal 40 years ago, then we wouldn't have had to argue about a Lokpal now. So
right.
ifs and buts can take you anywhere.
I've hit against a stone wall of a minister who's hinting repeatedly that perhaps things could have been better, but won't say it up front. And people will wonder why Salman Khurshid, who's normally so open and so receptive to criticism and to accepting mistakes, on this occasion seems to be reluctant to do so.
I say you want to criticize us, please criticize us. Anna Hazare's team have criticized us, and you can do as well. But I will hear your criticism. I don't need to respond and react to your criticism.
What I'm really asking is this: did the government learn critical, important lessons from its earlier handling of Team Anna?
We learn every day. We learn every day from everything that we do, and I think that learning is a good thing, because at the end of your learning lesson, you're a better person.
Are you, as a result, a wiser government when it comes to handling such situations today than you were, say, 6 months or 8 months ago?
Oh, absolutely. I hope they've also learned something.
No, answer for yourself. Have you learned? Are you wiser?
We are much better equipped today.
You're better equipped today.
Yeah.
All right, let's widen the subject. Today, after Anna Hazare and Team Anna appear in the public eye to have suffered, where does the Prime Minister's commitment on the Lokpal given to Anna Hazare stand?
Well, this is interesting. There are two separate things here. One is not just the Prime Minister's commitment, but what Anna Hazare had actually asked for. The Prime Minister responded, and on the Prime Minister's response, the entire Parliament passed a sense of the House resolution. There were three things. I have been at pains to say this again and again, that the three things we promised in the Prime Minister's letter, we have already done. We have already done. Of course, it's only been passed by one house, and the other house is still to pass it. But there are many other dimensions that are being added.
You're hinting there at the conversations you've had in secret on June the 23rd with Anna Hazare. I'll come to that a little later. Let me pick up first on the question of when will the Lokpal become a reality? Because many people have the belief and perception that after the extended winter session of Parliament, the government is going deliberately slowly. Some even feel that you have no intention of actually creating a Lokpal. You're simply going through the motions to deceive people.
See, I personally think, but this is now a matter of the past. I personally think that everything that is sought in a Lokpal can be done by minor strengthening of existing institutions. But now this argument has been overtaken by a commitment that we've made for a new institution of the Lokpal. Now we are waiting for the Select Committee report to come back, Select Committee had a mandate to give the report on the first day of the last week of the session, so that we might be able to push it through within that session. If not, then in the subsequent session. Now we are still waiting for the Select Committee report, and we can't dictate to the Select Committee.
Let me tell you why this is becoming a matter of some concern, because it was on the 17th of August 2011, almost exactly a year ago, that the Prime Minister gave a commitment to Parliament that the Lokpal bill would be passed as early as possible. Those were his exact words.
That remains.
And people ask, do you have a deadline or a date by when this will happen?
No, but as early as possible remains. Once we get the Select Committee report, there is nothing in parliamentary procedure.
Can you not hasten the Select Committee to give the report on time?
You can't.
Well, it's headed by Satyavrat Chaturvedi, who's a member of your party. You can have a word with him.
You can't dictate. You can't. Parliamentary procedure and parliamentary practice.
Can you encourage? Can you
I'm
persuade?
sure that he's being encouraged. I'm sure he's being encouraged both privately and publicly. He's being encouraged, but he also has to get all his members on board. The moment his report comes, we will then be able to say, now the last mile is.
Let me ask you this. Can you give an assurance to the people of India that Parliament will create a Lokpal before the elections of 2014?
I see, it's not for me to give this assurance because my Prime Minister must do so. But if you are asking me about my own assessment and my own impression and my own feeling, I think yes, we can say yes, absolutely. In fact, to say it'll be long before the Parliament elections of 2014. But I can't give you a date and I can't give you a deadline.
But you're giving me your personal assessment that it will not only happen before 2014, but Parliament will create a Lokpal possibly long before 2014.
Yeah.
Let's take a break at that point. When we come back, I want to talk to you about your secret meeting with Anna Hazare on the 23rd of June, about which now you are prepared to talk. That's in a moment's time. See you after the break. Welcome back to Devil's Advocate and a special interview with Law Minister Salman Khurshid. Salman Khurshid, let's talk about your secret meeting with Anna Hazare on the 23rd of June. How did this happen? How was it set up and where did it happen?
It was not a secret meeting, it was a private meeting.
And how was it set up?
Friends, his friends, mutual friends who said, you speak the same language as he does, why don't you meet? And I said, I'm always willing to meet anyone. So we met at a friend's house.
Where was this friend's house? In Delhi or outside Delhi?
Outside Delhi, near Pune.
And you traveled there?
And he traveled there.
So both of you agreed to travel to a common friend's house for the meeting?
Yes.
How long did the meeting last?
2 hours.
And were you there a night in advance?
Yes.
Was Anna there a night in advance?
I came next morning, had breakfast with us, and then after breakfast we sat and had a meeting.
And it lasted for 2 hours?
Yes, thereabouts. I mean,
what did you and Anna
I don't want
Hazare
him to question and say it was 1 hour and 56 minutes. I mean,
what did you and Anna Hazare discuss during those 2 hours?
Lots of things. But if you're interested in the Lokpal issue, that was just pretty straightforward. I asked what he was looking for. He said 3 things that we said to you and you said in the sense of the House resolution. Those 3 things are that there should be a Lokpal and Lok Ayukt as well, so that states must also get covered. All civil servants must cover, meaning Group A, Group B, C and D. Initially we had only wanted Group A and B because we thought Lokpal would become unwieldy with larger number of employees. And 3, there should be a citizens charter and grievances redressal. And I said to him, we've already done this. And I explained to him how.
And what did he say?
And he said, well, if that's the case, just write to us and say so.
So he asked for a letter which would give the assurance that you've agreed to everything he wants on those 3 points.
Not agreed, have done.
Okay. He asked for a letter where you would confirm that you've done what he wants on those 3 points.
Yes.
Now, you agreed to give him this letter?
Yes.
And I believe before the final letter was sent, you sent him a draft of the letter.
Yes.
He made a few minor changes.
Yes.
Is that
now,
correct?
See, I sent to the same contact, same common friend. I got back from the same common friend. Now I assume the same common friend discussed it with him because he said we've translated into Marathi, and then sent back that these are the changes that are important. They were cosmetic changes. We had no problem. So we made the changes.
So by the time you got to the final letter, you had a clear belief and understanding that Anna approved of the content and would be happy.
Absolutely. And I've not heard to this day I've not heard to this day that Anna was unhappy with the contents of the letter.
Now, let's go back to the meeting. Is it also the case that at that meeting on the 23rd of June, Anna gave you an assurance that when he received the final letter, he would hold a press conference and publicly say that he was in agreement with the way the government was handling things?
No, he gave no assurance of any kind. He didn't promise me anything. I didn't promise him anything. I only said that we've done what we have done. He said just put it in a letter. I don't know if these are assurances or just a common conversation. He never promised me he wouldn't fast. He informed me even before we talked about the letter that he would not go on the fast. He informed me.
Let me clarify this because it's important. He informed you at the meeting that he wouldn't go on a fast.
That was his decision not to go on the fast on the 25th or the 9th, and that he wouldn't travel across the country. He just informed me and I accepted that
This is something he's since gone back on.
I don't know. I mean, apparently he has, but...
Let me come back to this earlier question I asked you about what Anna said or didn't say would happen when he received the final letter. According to what you've told the Helka magazine, you apparently said that Anna said that when he received the final letter, he would hold a press conference and publicly say that he was in agreement with the way the government had handled the Lokpal.
Yes.
So that bit is true?
That bit is true, of course. He
so he did say that when he gets the final letter, he'll hold a press conference?
Yes.
And endorse the way the government has handled the Lokpal?
Yes, because there was no disagreement, so why would he not endorse it? Even today there's no disagreement as far as Anna is concerned.
Let's stick to the details of your meeting. What we established, and I'm asking you to confirm, is that you discussed with Anna how the government had handled the three important things he wanted covered by the Sense of the House resolution.
How we had done it.
He was happy.
Yes.
He asked you to put that into a letter.
Yeah.
A draft of that letter was sent to Anna for his approval.
Yeah.
He made a few minor cosmetic changes.
Yes.
Then the final letter went to Anna.
Yes.
Secondly, Anna had also told you at that meeting that when he receives the final letter, he will hold a press conference and publicly say that he is in agreement with the way the government has handled the Lokpal issue.
Yeah.
All of that is correct?
Yes.
What did you and Anna discuss at that meeting about whether the meeting should be made public or kept secret?
Well, I just asked him. People will ask me, have I met you? And what do I say? And he said, well, just keep it secret. And I don't know the actual manner in which the sentences were exchanged, but the bottom line was that he said, in the interest of the country, you can speak an untruth.
And he was happy, therefore, to tell a white lie, as they call it, in the interest of the country.
Yes. And then he was upset that I didn't disclose the meeting.
Now, when that final letter was sent, it wasn't just sent to Anna Hazare, it was also sent to Team Anna. Was that a mistake?
I don't know, because I'm not involved in the dark arrangements. The letter was sent to their official address. That official address, assuming, is not his home address. It must be his office address or the office address of India Against Corruption. And therefore, I think they should, in their decency, should have forwarded that letter or reached it to Anna Hazare. Instead, they opened it.
So Team Anna became aware of the contents of that letter when Anna didn't want anyone other than himself to know.
I assume that's what has happened.
This is why he thinks the government was trying to create divisions between himself and the team.
I assume that's what it is.
So an unfortunate slip, as you call it in your Tehelka article, or an unforeseen accident led to the disruption between you and Anna. Till then everything was going swimmingly.
Yes, I thought so, but I've not been able to understand why something that was desired simply by that being discovered by someone else becomes undesirable.
Except for the fact that it's possible that Anna didn't want his team to know
how long
at that stage.
But how long would he not have wanted his team to know? I didn't know he didn't want his team to know. After all,
he never said this to you.
No, he said his team wasn't going to ask me. I was talking about what happens if I'm asked outside if I met you. Right? I didn't say, will you tell your team? He didn't ask me whether I would tell my side. I'm sure he assumed that I would tell my side, otherwise how would he get the letter?
And you similarly assumed he'd tell his side.
I have to, because if they're friends,
at the end of the day, the contact and the relationship established between the two of you and the understanding that emerged fell apart on one small simple thing. That Team Anna became aware of the contents of the letter at a stage when Anna Hazare perhaps didn't want them to know.
Yes, it seems so.
On something as small, some would say as ridiculous as that, the whole thing collapsed.
There you are. And should there be bitterness about this? If I were in his place, I would have said, we tried something. Unfortunately, something intervened and it couldn't happen.
Fate
Doesn't
overtook
matter.
you.
Fate overtook us, or lack of faith.
Salman Khurshid, a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much.